Welcome, traders. Dr. Keith here. Happy Sunday, January 23rd. Hope you're all doing well. All right, so let's talk VIX first here. So remember, folks, the VIX it's very important to keep an eye on. It's the fear indicator, right? So when you have the VIX that's triggering like it did back here, we knew there was an opportunity that we're going to have some fear coming into that market. And when that happened, obviously, when the VIX goes up, most of the time, stock market goes down. So keep an eye on the VIX, folks. What I think is going to happen, just from past VIX movements, we'll probably come up and at least test this 34 level. And then I have a feeling it's going to consolidate, retrace, but keep the cloud green, and then resume an uptrend as we get closer into February. So spike, retracement, and then back up, okay? So if that happens, what does that mean? Well, that means that on the major indexes, we're gonna have it down, retrace, and then back down, right? Typically, we go lower mid-February on the markets. This happened, continuously in February. Go back and look at your charts. That's usually one of the most bearish months we have, okay? And so you can see here on the S&P, right? You can see that all these flat tops, red Hackenacci. This is why I use Hackenacci, folks, because if you're not shorting this, and I didn't, I'm waiting until February, okay? Now you have a plan though. You know that, okay, let it retrace, and then if it resumes that downtrend, then I can start shorting. But there should be no surprise here between, look at the retailer trader sentiment that we've talked about over and over again. Okay, they're extremely net long, the longest I've seen in a while. And so there's no surprise that we're heading lower. I don't think though this is going to continue much longer, but we'll keep an eye on that sentiment and the candles and the Hackenacci and the Laguerre. They'll tell us when we're close to a bottom, okay? Same with the Dow. Everything's weak, okay? Everything's weak. But if you look at the indications, the cloud widening, there's no indication yet that this move to the downside is over, is there? Nasdaq. Same thing on the Nasdaq. So, we had the Nasdaq trigger back here on January 4th. And then if you didn't take that, which I didn't, another opportunity would have been, you had the retracement back into the cloud and then back to the red Hackenacci, see the red dot? That's another opportunity. So watch your indicators. It's very important. Keep an eye on that sentiment. Super important. Now let's talk about the dollar index. You can see the dollar trigger long. We had an early combo trigger long, and we typically had higher now until April, okay? So my expectation is now we're going to continue to head higher, at least up to this consolidation point, right around 96.50. If you're in this trade, if you took the trigger, stay in at least part of your trade until you get a red dot. We'll see how long the dollar continues higher. Not the best looking chart, uptrend, a lot of consolidation, and now, but you do have room up to that 96.50, 96.75 level long. All right, Bitcoin. Remember we said January is typically a bearish month. Okay, I'm getting more and more data now out of this. Next year, I'll probably play this, okay, not on the Bitcoin futures, but the data is definitely, go back and look at your charts and some of your favorite crypto Bitcoin instruments. You'll see that we're typically bearish in January. And now as we're getting more and more data, I like that as a short play in January. We will bottom here in the near future, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity as we'll hit new highs this year on Bitcoin, folks, in my opinion. But be patient, wait for your triggers. Bonds. This is a 30-year. again, if you look at the seasonality, we're close to a bottom. We had divergence here. Now we're going back to green. I'm not looking to enter long in this yet. Folks that have, I can understand the logic. Well, I'm just gonna put my stop here. There's lower risk with a great reward up to the highs here. Absolutely, but I'm gonna wait for this to come up, retrace, and then head higher as that cloud thins. That's a more high probability trade, okay? And you're really fighting that downtrend. So I can see if you go long, why? It makes sense. I'm gonna hold off for that lower high, I should say higher low, and then look for a long play on bonds here in the near future. Okay. Gold, again, this relates to all stock market as well. Excuse me. We hit the original profit target one on gold. Again, never got filled on this original play, but gold typically heads higher. I do foresee us getting close to a top here, unless it can break through here up to this 1876 level. But again, even though the gear is kind of heading down, Hakanachi's kind of losing steam, it's still green. So if you protect yourself, take partial profits, you can continue to ride this and see if gold can have one more burst up before we have that bigger pullback. And then again, when we get into March, look for a longer term gold play to the long side. Okay. So let me talk about a couple of my favorite trades in January. Netflix, right? And I talked about this in Wednesday's webinar. I talked about this, I believe, in last week's update, Sunday update. But this is the importance of watching your indicators. We all know so far, since Netflix has been around, Q1, Netflix has always closed higher. Okay. Does that mean it's not going to this year? Certainly Netflix can get going and hit the high and go higher in Q1. Absolutely, there's plenty of time. But how can you make money on Netflix? I'm not going to short Netflix at this point because, again, the data just suggests there's better trades than trying to short Netflix. Okay. Certainly, if you just follow the indicators, you made a lot of money. But I don't like to go against that really good seasonal pattern. Okay. So I choose to do other shorts if I was going to. This is a nice trigger though. Then earnings hit and we gap down. Here's my thought. We'll let the indicators tell us this week. I think now we're going to consolidate. And I think this might be close to the low point. We'll see. And then so as we start getting long triggers, it's interesting, the big move down, look at the Laguerre starting to curve. So once Hakanachi turns green in that, if you like the risk reward, you're like, okay, let's say we get a trigger right around 450 and you can put your stop at 380 with the upside, you can do that. Again, what I prefer to do is in a case like this with a major downtrend, let it go up, it will retrace. Once it's done retracing, you get a second trigger, take that second trigger in the near future. Okay, that's a safer bet, but it's all about risk reward and so forth. So, having a good trading system allows you not to get long on here just to go long on Netflix, and saved you a lot of pain, right? And that's for a lot of these tech stocks right now, right? Tesla. Look at Tesla. We'll see what happens with earnings coming up. So we got a lot of earnings that will be coming up here soon. Okay. One of the stocks that's been pretty bullish was Ford. Okay. And then we had that divergence and, like a lot of the market, that retracement. So keep an eye on Ford. I do like Ford as a potential re-entry long, but the seasonality is really just kind of peaking right around the end of February. But Ford's something I don't trade very often. Doesn't seem to move a whole lot, but I think if we got in around 20, probably get up to 24, that's a pretty good return. Okay. All right, let me talk quickly here on futures. So one of the opportunities that I've been looking for is, let's bring up the Mexican peso. You can see here, let me blow up the season for just a second. We typically top on the peso right around the week February 7th. Okay. Could this be an early top? Potentially, if you bring in the daily chart here, right? See this point here? Now you've got a lower high, lower high, lower high? Absolutely could be. You know, so if you wanted to be aggressive with this Laguerre trigger short, okay, Hackenacci's red, put your stop right above here. Then you can see if you can take this down, right? Typically, this could definitely be the top. What I was hoping for was divergence, though. We didn't get it. So I'm actually going to wait because this is a nice move up, right? You're fighting the trend. So again, just like I've been talking earlier, I'm going to let this come down. I'm hoping for a retracement, and then that next entry in the near future short, that's what I'm looking for, okay? So it's about being patient on some of these opportunities. And, you know, if it doesn't break this recent high, I love this, the short play. Again, the traders that like a little bit more risk, right? You can do these, just put your stop above the swing high. And, you know, if you're right, you're going to be more right than what you're going to be wrong. All right, folks. So I'll see how the market opens up tonight for possible Monday morning trades. But as I mentioned, I'm bearish on the markets right now. Retailers are extremely net long, which means if that continues like that, we're going to continue to head lower. I do think we'll get a bounce soon, though. And then after that bounce, we'll resume that downtrend into February. So that's kind of the plan. There'll be some puts coming up. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out. Good luck, everyone.